Today we are going to look at the top 10 man-made environmental disasters. 9. Bhopal, December 3, 1984. During a routine night inspection at the Union Carbide India pesticide plant, a toxic cloud composed of methyl isocyanate is released due to a malfunction. The substance can be considered a deadly poison in its own right. 4,000 people die that same night as the deadly haze envelops the poor and populous suburbs of Bhopal. Another 50,000 remain contaminated and suffer permanent damage as a result of contact with isocyanate, including blindness and kidney failure. Another 20,000 deaths will be recorded over the next 40 years. The American multinational company Union Carbide, which owns the plant, claims it was terrorism. It seems clear to many that this was terrible, trivial negligence. The victims to date have not received justice. 8. Chernobyl, April 26, 1986. It is spring in Pripyat as well, but something goes wrong, and reactor number 3 overheats to the point of fire. The disaster will remain the worst among nuclear disasters, including the 2011 Fukushima crisis. Only 56 people, mostly firefighters and plant personnel, die in the days following the event. The towns of Pripyat and Chernobyl are evacuated, as well as the countryside, within some 30 kilometers of the epicenter. Even now, the area is considered inhospitable. Although the environment seems to have responded better than expected, over the next 30 years, at least 4,000 people died from thyroid cancers and leukemias correlated with the radioactive fallout. Considering that the radioactive cloud emitted from the plant reached Ireland before dissipating, hard to imagine the effect it had, and perhaps still has on citizens throughout Europe. Impossible to quantify in its entirety. 7. Exxon Valdez. March 24, 1989. ExxonMobil's supertanker Exxon Valdez, due to a course error by the crew commanded by Captain J. Hazelwood, runs aground shortly after midnight on Prince William Shoal, spilling 40.9 million gallons of crude oil onto the Asian coast of Alaska. The disaster is immense. 250,000 seabirds, 2,800 otters, 300 seals, 250 white-headed sea eagles, 22 killer whales, and billions of salmon and herring eggs die in the following days. An entire ecosystem destroyed. Not even the $1 billion in damages paid by Mobil as compensation is enough to recover what was irreparably lost. To this day, 26,000 tons of crude oil still chokes the seabed in the affected area. 6. First Gulf War, August 6, 1990. February 28, 1991. The Iraqi army retreating from Kuwait after the start of Desert Storm cuts off the heads of 788 oil wells in Kuwaiti territory by setting fire to the high-pressure crude oil leaking from them. The wells burn for more than a year and cause regional and global environmental damage. Incalculable tons of CO2 and other greenhouse gases emitted into the atmosphere, of biblical proportions. A default estimate puts the local environmental damage at 80 billion. I consider this a completely arbitrary figure to put a value on something that until 1991 was even hard to imagine. 5. Land of the Fires, 1970 to the present. It has been called the Land of Fires since 2003, when journalists found the right term to put it in the headlines. But the problem originated as far back as the 1970s. From 1970 onward in the Campania countryside, the Camorra has dumped industrial, toxic, and nuclear waste. The most affected areas are Sucevo, Aversa, Caivano, Acerra, and Giuliano in Campania. Industrial waste burning has become a sad constant on the landscape in recent years, and is feared to be responsible for high cancer rates. The Camorra considers special waste a less risky and more lucrative business than drugs. It is right, especially since it finds plenty of industrial companies in the north quite happy not to follow the costly disposal rules. In 2015, Europe's largest underground toxic waste dump was found in the municipality of Calvi Resorta. 4. Deepwater Horizon, April 2020. On the Deepwater Horizon, rig operating off the Louisiana coast in the Gulf of Mexico, something goes wrong, and on the night of April 20th, 5 years ago, a valve on the drilling well blows. The platform burns like a flashlight in the middle of the sea, taking 11 souls with it. In 3 months of leaks from the damaged well, between 3 and 5 million barrels of oil, or 506 to 868 million liters of black crude, are released into the Gulf. There is currently no trace of it on the surface, but the damage remains. Because taken out the dissolved oil, taken out the oil eaten up by bacteria, taken out the reclaimed oil, 127 million tons are missing and presumed to be scattered all over the bottom of the Gulf of Mexico. Not to mention that the chemicals used to disperse the hydrocarbons have allowed the oil spill to plunge to the seabed more than 1,600 meters deep, where it continues to exert its nefarious effects on the food chain. BP will pay $20 billion for the damage it caused but can never repair. 3. Fukushima, March 11, 2011. In the aftermath of the tremendous Tohoku earthquake of magnitude 9 on the Richter scale, a massive tsunami hits the northwest coast of Japan. The disaster is enormous, but it will be even more immense when, following the extremely violent earthquake, reactors at the Fukushima atomic power plant begin to show serious failures. The problem is so severe that the reactors catch fire following a series of explosions at the plant. The environmental impact of the affair is enormous, despite the fact that the amount of radioactive material emitted into the atmosphere is about 1/10 of that emitted by Chernobyl. Several radioactive isotopes are detected in the sea along a wide stretch of coastline west and east of the site, with radioactivity levels 400 times higher than the tolerated threshold. The area is evacuated for a radius of 30-40 kilometers. The evacuated population amounts to about 400,000. The Fukushima reactors are also currently emitting radiation since they were not, unlike Chernobyl, enclosed in a containment sarcophagus. The presumption that the plant was supposed to be resistant to powerful earthquakes has cost dearly. 2. Great Pacific Garbage Patch. Hard to say when it started, but it is a hugely topical issue. In the heart of the Pacific between Japan and Hawaii floats a boundless island of plastic that a vortex of currents has accumulated over the years, collecting trash along the coasts of Southeast Asia and the Far East. The size of this vortex varies from 700,000 km², an area equal to that of the Iberian Peninsula, to 10 million km², an area equal to that of the US, depending on estimates. Fact is that it is there, clearly visible from the satellite, as a reminder of how stupid and short-sighted we are as individuals and as nations. 1. Dams on the Rio Doce. November 13, 2015. The reservoirs in which processing effluent from the mining complex operated by Samarco, a mining company that operates in the Brazilian state of Minas Gerais, gave way on the night of November 12-13, 2015. Toxic sludge accumulated in the reservoir contained by the dam plunged onto the outskirts of the town of Mariana, killing 17 people that same night. But the environmental damage is still incalculable. Reporters call it Brazil's Chernobyl, as the toxic tide has destroyed in 2 weeks, perhaps forever, the ecosystem of the Amazonian Doce River and poured 60 million cubic meters of debris into the sea that is contaminating a hard-to-circumscribe stretch of coastline in front of the city of Espírito Santo. 250,000 people are currently without drinking water, and the Amazon, already battered by illegal logging, has suffered an additional blow. Here ends our journey through the top 10 biggest man-made disasters. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Have a great life!